Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your girl JoJo, and I'm here with the review for The Family Empire Houston. Came on Friday night. It is now Monday, and I'm just now doing the review. I hope you guys are doing good today. I am doing well. Charge this to my mind, not my heart, y'all. I am in the process of moving still. I've moved. Now I'm just unpacking, and I am extremely overwhelmed. For those of you who don't know, I was on military orders for over 2 years. I was on those same orders. My stuff has been in storage. And when I tell you, when they took that stuff out the storage and brought it in, I was like, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't even know what half of these things are. So I've been getting rid of stuff while trying to unpack. And it's just been, I'm getting there. I'm trying to woo-side it out. So please forgive me for doing this review late. I knew it was something I was supposed to be doing this weekend, but I just couldn't get it in my brain, y'all. I couldn't get it going. So I watched the show. The show was great. I really enjoyed it. I can tell they're going to have some hiccups because they are a family and they're trying to do business together, but I don't think they're new to doing business together. So they will probably work past whatever hiccups those are. I expect that they should be turning out good numbers for this show because this is the type of show that everybody keeps complaining that they want to see. We want to see a black family doing these things. It don't always have to be negative. So hopefully this is the representation that people are talking about, and people will turn on the show and watch it so that they can continue to get the viewership, and they will be renewed season after season. Because a lot of times what happens, people will say they want a certain show and then they don't watch it. So now we looking at y'all like, oh, y'all lying. So hopefully this will be the show that we want, and they won't let the drama, social media is probably going to come into play. I hope they have already sat down as a family and had these conversations and really tried to be firm. A few gonna fall through the cracks, but really tried to be firm on, let's remember at the end of the day that we are family. And this television show, be damned, we are family first. I really do hope they had that conversation. I feel like they did. So anyway, let's get into talking about what happened on the show. Now, I took notes for this, but y'all gonna have to really give me some grace because it's a whole bunch of people on this show and the names sound alike, and they got the Juz and the Nickys and the Nicoles, and it's gonna take me a minute. Y'all know I'm bad with names. So the episode starts out with the introduction of the three sister cousins, Jermisha, Nicole, and Jaquita. Now, I am going to tell y'all right now, as we go through this show, I am probably going to make a lot of references to my own family because this show reminds me of my family. The only difference is we ain't got no business. But we do have land that was passed down through my great grandparents. And they passed it down to their children, and their children passed down land to their children. So, it just kind of goes down generation by generation. I am actually in the process of getting ready to inherit my own land and figure out what I'm going to do with mine. So we don't have any businesses on it. We just have our homes on it. I don't think anybody has ever thought to start a business on it. I mean, they may have, but maybe just didn't have the, you can have an idea, but not necessarily have the know-how to put the effort behind it or whatever. So we don't have a family business or anything, but we do have a great deal of land that everybody has their homes on. I've told y'all before, we all live next to each other, cousins, grandparents and great aunts and great nephews and great aunts, just within a couple of walking distance of each other. And there are undoubtedly some issues that have arisen from doing so. So that's why I said I know this family probably is going to or has had hiccups in the past, and they may have some in the future. Anytime you're dealing with money and family, you're going to have issues. Like, you wish you didn't, but it just happens. And we've definitely had times in our family where, son is taking father to court about land, and things were promised to this person and that person, and court has come up. Like, things have happened, but luckily it hasn't gotten so out of hand where people are just outright not speaking to each other. So that's the good part. But those things have definitely happened. now that I'm getting older and my cousins are getting older, we're the great grandchildren. It's just so interesting to see how we're going to interact with one another, and I hope we don't fall out, child. I just never thought I would get here, and I'm one of the oldest great grandchildren, so it's kind of wild. It really is. It's kind of wild, but they remind me a lot of my family. So you'll hear me reference my family a lot. I'll try to limit it, but you may hear me do so because I love them people and I miss them. I'm all the way out here in Texas. They in South Carolina, so I'll be missing them. I like to talk about them when I can. So we're introduced to Jermisha, Nicole, and Jaquita, and they're telling us about the family legacy passed down from who is their grandparents, Oscarine and Frank, who with a name like Oscarine, sis, do not play. And so they are generation 2. Generation 1, of course, would be their parents, right? And so we see them having a meeting. They're having a quarterly meeting just to give everybody the updates on what's going on with the real estate group. They give the history of the real estate group and how it started, which is mainly with Jermisha and Nicole. Well, actually, it didn't start with them. Of course, it started with Frank and Oscarine. They purchased different properties. They've had properties for years. And after that, they paid for the real estate license of Jermisha and Nicole. And they both picked it up along with other family members, Jaquita included, and they just kept it moving. They started a brokerage firm. They brought other properties into the family name, and they have created quite the empire. But the empire was started by their grandparents, Frank and Oscarine Bearden? I think I'm saying it right. Bearden, in Houston, Texas. So a beautiful legacy. Jaquita, the one on the end, was a pharmacist at first, and she made more money as a part-time real estate agent than a pharmacist. And if anybody know anything about pharmacists be making money. So the fact that she was able to do that, it just made sense for her to go ahead and just throw herself into the family business. Now, the business doesn't just include these 3 ladies. It also includes several other family members who I will list along the way, child. When she got the name and all them people, I wish I would. I was typing feverishly trying to get all them names in there, but I couldn't do it. So it's a Keisha somewhere in there, and it's a Nikki in there, and it's some more cousins up in there. And of course, the husbands are included. So Jermisha's husband, who is a top selling agent. Y'all notice how she added that in. But the truth is the truth. Also, Jaquita's husband is involved. His name is Chris. He is their media person, their photographer. He does all things related to the media in regards to the family business. The only husband that is not involved is Nicole's husband, which we can tell is probably going to be a point of some type of contention later on. I noticed that Jermisha made it a point not only to say that he wasn't involved, but also that he would be fine being a house husband. So Nicole, you keep going in and raking in them deals, girl, because he would be fine just staying at home and being a house husband. Now, her husband is an operator, and that's very common in Houston, Texas. You'll meet a lot of men who work at the oil refinery plants. You'll even meet some men who work out on the ships, like out in New Orleans, and they may be gone for long periods of time and then they come back home. So it's a very common job. But he's a refinery operator, and so he is gone sometimes. And that's something that actually him and Nicole end up talking about later on in the show. But yeah, it's just a little bit of, you could tell that this is going to be something that comes up later. So yes, I think we have one of our first plot points introduced. So they're going to be having a family dinner today. The whole family's coming through. I was getting all the feels, you guys. I miss my family so much. I missed them a lot. I just saw them. Somebody typed in the family group chat, "Are we doing anything for the 4th?" And I was like, family gatherings. What a time. But anyway, they are getting together. Grandma Oscarine is there, and there's some business that they might need to discuss with Grandma. I'm not sure why they're doing it at the family gathering, but we all know, y'all, it's for the show. So everybody starts arriving. Nicole gets there late, and Nicole says that, it doesn't matter what time she get there. She always on time. Then there's a little squabble between Nicole and Jaquita's husband, Chris, because Chris says the last time he came into the office, he got kicked out by Nicole. And Nicole is just like, "I did not kick you out. Stop telling everybody that." But he was like, "Yeah, you kicked me out." She says that because Chris is not an actual realtor, he doesn't understand the importance of the business. He comes in there, he's laughing, he's joking, he's playing games. And so she told him he had to leave. But when it comes to a lot of the marketing and just a lot of the things that need to be done creatively for the business, her and Chris are usually aligned and they work very closely together. So maybe this back and forth that they're having is very common for them. Who knows? All I know is Chris said he got put out. Jaquita says she often tries not to get into the middle of the disagreements between Chris and her family members because she often feels like she just doesn't want to have to take sides, because sometimes Chris is wrong and she just doesn't want to get into it because she has to have her husband back. She feels like she has to have his back, right or wrong, even though sometimes he is in the wrong. Okay, speaking of Nicole, let's talk about her and some of the things she has going on. So we're introduced to our second plot point for the show, and that's whatever resentment that Nicole has towards Larry and things that they went through in the past. Now, there was some things she said that she's still holding on to when it comes to Larry. Larry says he's let it all go. He is not starting over. We already in it this long, and ain't nobody trying to start from scratch. Nicole said, I absolutely will start from scratch. I'm definitely still a catch. Larry is looking at her like, child, please, I'm not starting over. So I'm pretty sure as the episodes go on, we're going to find out what it was that Larry may have done or what they may have been through together that caused her to have this resentment that she still carries. We also learn that she has two other sisters. So it's Nicole, Renee, and Keisha, I believe, who's the youngest. But Keisha was raised by her mother in another household. So the family tie for them is their father. But Nicole and Renee were raised together. Keisha was raised by her mother in another home. I'm sure we'll get more on that. Nicole says she often feels like she's walking on eggshells around Keisha because they share the same father and they weren't raised together. They just have a little bit of a different relationship. We see previews of the show and Keisha kind of feeling left out of like what is known to be like the family legacy. You know, she doesn't really always feel included. And we get that, right? Like, listen, y'all, if the shoe don't fit, please don't put it on, okay, for what I'm about to say. But we know that most of the time, you know, that mama's baby, daddy's maybe type of thing even plays out with siblings. Usually the siblings from the mom are closer than the siblings that are from the dad. I can definitely say that me and my siblings, even though they're still my half siblings, technically, by my mother, is totally different than, you know, my siblings by my father. Now, I am close to my older sister, very close. But we work on that relationship. You know, we're very committed to that relationship. And we're also close in age, so I think that matters as well. But we've always been committed to it outside of our parents. Like, that was our work, honey. Nobody put us together. We did it. Even as youngins, you know, we were doing it. So it's special circumstances that happen where it doesn't, you know, there's no loss of connection. But usually you grow up in the same house. You both with your mama all the time. It just naturally goes that way. And so Nicole and Keisha kind of have this thing where Nicole feels like Keisha doesn't know how to approach her, and there's a lot of sensitivity there. So we're going to probably see more of that as the episodes go on as well. I don't know. I'll probably go. I don't know. Let me hold it. We'll see what happens. So after they finish eating dinner, they're in the room having a conversation with their grandma, Oscarine. Their name. I'm telling y'all, back in the day, they would throw a Anna or a Reen or a Joe on the end of your daddy name so fast. I too have a country ass name, so I ain't even gonna front. But my name ain't Oscarine. But shout out to Granny. They're having a conversation. Granny had a stroke some years back, and it affects her speech, but her mind is still very sharp, and you can tell by the conversation that she ends up having with them. So Jermisha tells us that there's some land that's been in the family for 30 years in North Houston area. With that land, they have built, the grandparents have built businesses on it, beauty shops, all kind of different things. And of course, they have worked up, she said, quite a tax bill. The way she said it almost made it sound like they owed taxes, but I don't think that's what it is. I think that they are current, but now it's just that the grandfather's gone now. how do we make sure that we have our affairs in order when it comes to this land, and what would be the most beneficial thing to do with it now that Granny is getting older. So Jermisha and some of the other family would like to acquire the land. She said not for free, but acquire the land and keep it in the family. Granny would like to sell the land and pay off the homes of her children. And I don't know, some people might look at Granny sideways, but I got what Granny was saying. Granny was like, because I got to look out for my kids at the end of the day. And then it's y'all parents' job to look out for y'all. She didn't say that, but I feel like that's what she was getting at. She was just like, she wants to make sure that her children are straight. And that's what she wants to do with the money. She wants to sell it and then pay off the homes. But Jermisha is thinking more long-term, more generational. How can this work for everybody? Let's keep the land in the family. I like Jermisha's idea, but I understood Granny as well. Like, when I leave this earth, I want my kids to be good. So I got both of them. Nikki says, we tabling this thing. Okay, Nikki is the daughter of Oscarine. That's their auntie, which I want to know when they had her, because the auntie don't look too far off in age from everybody else, the nieces and nephews. But she was like, as her representative, we not going to talk about this no more. We're going to table it and we're going to enjoy the rest of the evening. So that's what they do. They table it and they enjoy the rest of the evening. Now, this part is a little bit outside of the storyline of the family, but still relevant to the show because they sell homes. We see Nicole showing a luxury home. She says that she wasn't always into selling luxury homes. She had to work her way up there, but she was like, the homes that she used to sell were about $200,000 to $250,000, but she sold 51 of those. I said, okay, girl, you better do it. So she's showing this luxury home to the client, who's a top surgeon out in Houston. And she's showing her all of this custom stuff, custom tub and closet and bathroom. It was a lovely home, huge home. The client does like it, but we're looking at a price point of about $1.5 million. And so the client is just like, I don't really know about that. So she's talking to Nicole and telling her that, she came from work. She needs to be close to the hospital. She said it took her about, did she say how long it took her to get over there? She just said it took her a long time to get over to that side of town. She's not sure if she wants to offer that much. She would like to offer under asking because she knows that people really aren't buying homes right now, and she just wants to see what she's able to do. She's willing to let the home go if it's not something that she wants and it's going to be feasible for her. So originally her starting price point was $800,000, and now it has gone up because Nicole says it's a client who likes very nice things. But it sounds like the home is like outside of Houston. I'm just guessing that she probably works in the medical center area, which is like not quite downtown Houston, but more so like near the stadium area. And so, well, depending on what hospital she works in, actually. But if she needs to be over that direction, then living on the outskirts of Houston is completely out of the way. And for those of you who've never been to Houston or never lived there, baby, when I tell you that traffic is enough to make a grown man cry. I used to work about, if it was clear, 25 to 30 minutes away from my job, right? Maybe 30 minutes, I'll say 30, in another town on the outskirts of Houston, South Houston. And it would take me upwards of an hour to get to work every day. And that's with the toll road and all the easy access that I could possibly get. That's with all of that. And the traffic is not at a standstill. It's just very slow moving. Then there's people who are trying to drive and weave through the traffic, and there's usually an accident. It rains every damn day in Houston. Don't nobody get in my comments and tell me it don't rain every day. I lived there. It rained matter of fact, as I was packing to leave, it was raining. Cats and dogs when I left. It doesn't rain like a monsoon every day, but it's enough rain to kind of throw you off and be like, oh, it was going to rain today. A little sprinkle almost every day. And then when it does rain, it rains like hell just big old, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm going in. But the traffic is something heavy, something serious. If you live in Houston, you want to make one or two decisions. You either want to live where you work or live where you play. You need to decide. If you're young, you might want to live where you play. You get what I'm saying? Like, you might want to live where you like to go out, because that might be a big part of your life. If you older, you better live where you work, because if you don't, you will regret it every single day. Pay the extra money, live where you want to live. And I'm not playing. Okay, so later we get to see and hear from their Aunt Nikki, who is Granny's real estate agent and her representative that shut it down earlier. They're talking to her about the land. They go to see the land. The land sits back pretty deep, and Jermisha is trying to explain to Aunt Nikki that they could put about 50 properties here, and they could really benefit for some of the growth that is going on in the area. When she said they was 10 minutes from downtown, I was like, oh, hell yeah, they can definitely they can definitely turn that into something. As neighborhoods continue to grow and they need space, they're going to move into some of these other areas of Houston, and they could profit from it, and build. Auntie Nikki understands what they are saying, especially since originally Grandma bought the property at $72,000, and now the appraisal for the property is at about $865,000. However, there's just a little bit of a problem. Grandpa Frank said that he wanted the money to go to G2, but Oscarine is saying she don't know nothing about that. And now Frank ain't here. And she wants the money to go to her kids. And Nikki said, if you taking money out of G1's mouth, then them numbers better make sense. Okay? So that is the little dilemma that they are having right now. Real estate is such a wonderful game if you know how to play it. It's just, it really can benefit you a whole lot. I don't know what it's like today. I actually do not, other than the land for my family, I actually do not have any, I don't have like a home or anything like that. But I don't know. Real estate has always been so scary to me. I just don't know why. I get nervous about I'm all of my friends, my line sisters bought houses like straight out of college back when it was a really good time. And, it's not those times anymore. So, and at the time I couldn't afford a home back then. So I don't know, you guys, it's a lot to think about, but I'm happy for, they did right, of course, by their legacy, and they struck while the iron was hot, and they always was looking to get that next deal and probably use even the equity back then to get into what they wanted to get into. So kudos to them. Grandma and Grandpa definitely did it right, and now the next generation is trying to carry that on. So kudos to those ladies as well. And we'll see what happens as the show goes on. All right, now it's time for the family photo. Exciting. Well, not the family photo, but the real estate business photo. They started with just 5 real estate agents, and now they've grown into what we see right here on the screen. This is really just a fraction of it. They panned across, and I said the last name wrong earlier, guys. I'm sorry. I said Bearden. It's Braden. Okay, so for anybody that's going to correct me, I'm saying it right here that I said it wrong. But Jermisha is just emotional because of how they started, and now look at where they are. And at the beginning of the show, they actually said that they were slated to make about $52 million this year. They have over 100 acres worth of property. So, they did their thing. Child, the one thing about a black woman, baby, we going to take that thing and multiply it. I love it. And they have all these staff members, and it's just wonderful. So also during this time, they talk about Chris signing a contract before you come back to work, child. We don't even need to spend no time on that. I want to get to this situation between Keisha, Nicole, and the other sister cousins. It was pretty emotional watching this. We learned that Keisha's mother has passed away, and they meet up because Jermisha and Jaquita really want to work on the relationship between the 4 of them. But not only that, but make sure that Keisha feels like she can express herself to them. They want her to feel like she's included. They want her to be able to express herself even when Nikki is around, because it seems like when Nikki comes around, she has a tendency to clam up, and they don't want that for her. They want her to be able to speak her mind and, say what she needs to say. Keisha admits that she does need to do better because she knows that she has that wall up. She also says that she really does want to have that kind of relationship with them. However, she just really doesn't always know how to go about it, but she knows that now that her mom is gone, and she cries, and it was just sad. That she really does need them. child, as much as my mama would tear my nerves up, like I just could not imagine doing life without her. So it was just sad and it was emotional. And when Nicole gets there, they begin to eat their crawfish and have a good time, but you can clearly tell there's tension there. I noticed also they didn't clink glasses with Keisha. I ain't like that when they toasted their champagne, but you can tell that Keisha was a little more quiet when Nicole got there. And that was one of the things that Jermisha and Jaquita were concerned about. So Jermisha and Jaquita, you could tell they are the fun bunch. They laugh, they giggle, they always finding the joy in the situation, versus Nicole, who's a little bit more buttoned up, a little more serious, definitely more, I guess you could say the business, not necessarily the play. But you can tell that there's tension. Like her and Keisha are barely even looking at each other when they speak or when they have any interaction with each other. She's barely acknowledging that Keisha is there, and anybody who's watching can notice it, right? So it is known that Jaquita cannot hold her liquor, okay? And at some point during this crawfish dinner, Jaquita says, well, y'all got the walls up over there, in reference to Keisha and Nicole. And so her and Jermisha get the laughing, child. They just giggling, they been drinking before everybody got there. They had some beers. So they just over there giggling and laughing. And Jermisha is like, don't say that. Don't say that. And Nicole is just like, well, what do you mean by that? Tell me what you mean. And so that's when Jermisha says, well, you know how before you got here, Keisha was talking and opening up to us. And when you got here, it just seemed like she stopped. And Nicole is just like, well, I mean, look, we do have a difficult relationship. We were raised differently. And that is a point of sensitivity for us. And I don't really appreciate y'all laughing about it, because you sitting here saying that you're concerned about it, but you also making light of it at the same time. So I need to know what's going on. Now, instead of getting serious, they continue to laugh. It's not funny. It's not funny because I understood why she was irritated. Like, don't tell me that you're concerned about our relationship, but then y'all sitting over here laughing about it, and y'all trying to make me seem like I'm crazy because I'm serious and I'm not laughing, and you trying to make me feel some type of way. She even looked over at Keisha and was like, was that shade? So I was laughing too, because I really do think that they was just like, I don't know. I can see why Nicole would be upset that they were laughing about it. But I also wondered if she was using that time as a cop-out. Like, instead of addressing the fact that she does ice Keisha out and Keisha does clam up when she's around, did she just want to use that to leave? But she did say to Keisha, she said, look, I know that you have your issues with me, but you should be open enough to tell me those things. And maybe I haven't created that space. Okay, well, Nicole, you answered your own question. Because if you haven't created the space for her to tell you those things, then how is she going to tell you? You know what I'm saying? But I think when I listened to Jermisha describe how Nicole is very, boss-like, very independent, she likes to be put together, she likes to seem put together, it makes a little bit more sense as to why she may not create a space for anybody to come to her and talk to her, because, she just doesn't want to appear that she has any issues with anybody or has any type of problems. Like, she just wants to be able to live like a good structured life, I guess you could say, and doesn't want anything to get in the way of that. Keisha does seem to be very timid, very mild-mannered, just from what we see on the show. And I'm not, at this point in time, I don't know if they're trying to paint Nicole, later on as like the villain of the show, which I hope not, but that's not how I'm seeing her. Right now, I'm just seeing her as a person who feels like because she carries herself a certain way, everybody's acting like she might be hurt by the situation as well. She doesn't want to look like the bad guy. She doesn't want to look like she doesn't care about her sister. It's just she don't know what to do. Like, if she don't come to me, what do y'all want me to do? But you could do better with just like making her feel included, because she was standing outside of the picture, and is she not involved in the real estate group? Like, I don't know. I probably just talked on both sides of that issue. And I only did because I don't know what's going on yet. I got to see it. But I'm not ready to call it with Nicole just yet, because I believe there's more that needs to unfold. Okay? But you guys let me know what y'all thought about the show. That was really it. Like, comment, and subscribe. And again, I'm sorry it's late. See y'all for the next one. Bye.